Welcome to the Great American Collectibles Show, seen Wednesdays on the Sports Collectors Daily Facebook page and the Great American Collectibles Facebook page. You can also listen to us on iHeartRadio, Pandora, and Spotify. The Great American Collectibles Show is brought to you by the National Sports Collectors Convention and Sports Collectors Daily. Tonight's headlines are brought to you by Sports Collectors Daily. For all of your hobby news, features, and more, go to sportscollectorsdaily.com. And now your hosts, Tom Zappala and Boston sports personality, John Mallory.
JM, my man, how you doing, brother?
What's up, Zap?
JM, what do they mean by Boston sports personality?
I don't know, because Boston, I work in Boston. I don't really live in Boston. Sports, okay, and personality, that's always been questionable. So
right, that's my point.
I'm hit 1 out of 3, but that's 333, brother. That's Hall of Fame. So
hey, by the way, JM, look at little swag.
Yeah, I guess same thing. Yeah,
right, little swag there.
Yeah.
Compliments of our good friends.
We take bribes on this show.
Exactly.
So we encourage gifts. We do.
Compliments of Memory Lane Auctions. My name is Tom Zappala. Welcome to the Great American Collectibles Show. We got a great show today. We got our good friend Scotty Russell from the Collector Connection.
Tremendous show.
Scott is going on a caravan. He rented 3 camels and a pickup truck. He's going to be all over the country. So we're going to talk to Scott about that, plus his auction. And we're going to bring in right now, actually, we're going to bring both of them in, a really loyal follower and good friend of the show. He's been with us, I think, since day one. Kenny Clawson, former professional baseball player, but I asked Ken to come on because he did kind of a really neat thing in the last week and a half, JM. So let's bring them both in. How are you, boys?
Good morning.
What's up, guys?
Kenny, we're going to chat with you first. Number one, you took the time to raise some money for the event that we are going to be doing this coming Saturday. It is the Little Smiles fundraiser that Rico and I are doing down here. And by the way, JM, it's going to be mobbed. We're really excited about it. You raised some money. Can you tell us a little bit about that, Ken?
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, thanks a lot for having me on the show. And a couple weeks back, I did see an episode on your show talking about your event that you're having coming up in Florida. So I just thought if I could help in a small way by jumping in on my Facebook page and having a raffle. And my nephew, who is a star guard at Duke University, basketball player, was kind enough to sign a pair of brand new shoes, and I got a signed card, and I used that and sold spots in a raffle on my Facebook page, and I was very surprised that it filled up very fast.
It really did.
That's awesome. We should mention Jared McCain, right? That's your nephew, correct?
John, JM. Have you been following Jared?
Dude, he's for real. He's for real. Yeah,
he is legitimately.
And he made it through the court storming safely.
Yeah. He's gonna to try one of his teammates. But I'll tell you what, Kenny. I think you and I were talking. I think that what's he averaging about 16 a game as a freshman and 8 or 9 rebounds. I think not only is he going to be a lottery pick, it wouldn't surprise me if he's in the NBA after his freshman year. You don't have to kind of tip us off, Kenny. But what are your thoughts on how he's doing?
Well, first of all, Jared's a very, very special player. And from a young age, his work ethic is unmatched. Just a little insider on Jared. He gets up every morning at 5, regardless if he had a game the night before, and he does yoga, he stretches, gets into the gym, shoots 200 shots. Then he goes to practice. After games, he plays both ends. He goes hard. He plays just about 40 minutes a game, and he's wiped out. And after the crowds leave, he goes back on the floor and shoots another couple hundred shots. So the NBA scouts are really touting him. He's projected to go very high in the first round. He does have options, just trying to get him through the season healthy and onto the tournament. And then later, after the spring, he can sit down and kind of assess things.
Yeah, and Kenny, he's tailor-made for today's NBA. I mean, he can score. He's an assist guy. He can rebound. What's he about 6'3", 6'4"? I mean, the NBA. You don't have to be 7 feet anymore. You know what I mean, to be a high pick. He's perfect for today's game. The flow, the running. I mean, it's a fast-paced game now. It's about being multi-talented, and he's that guy.
Absolutely. He can do it all. He sees the floor.
Yeah.
He actually can create shots and plays within a play, and he's not afraid to rebound. I think he's had 5 games this year where he's had 10 plus rebounds as a guard, and he's a sharp shooting he's the number 1 ranked freshman guard in the nation, and he's shooting threes at a 41% clip.
That's amazing. I saw that. Yeah. You know, something, JM, he kind of reminds me of me at my Austin prep days. You know, we were Division 6, and we went 3-15. But you know,
you guys didn't too bad since the ball back then. The ball you used was a rock. So I mean, for that, you really weren't too bad, you know.
We're chatting with
but St. John's Prep wiped the floor with you every time, so you know.
We're chatting with Ken Clawson, and Scotty Russell's on board with us. Scott's going to be with us for the whole hour. Ken, tell us about Ken Clawson's baseball career.
Yeah,
I mean, you made it pretty far, and then I think was it an injury? Because that's typically what happens. Kind of walk us through that.
Well, you know, I played my whole life, and aspirations of always being a Major League Baseball player. And I was fortunate to get drafted by the San Diego Padres in 1983 out of high school. And I played 5 years in the minor leagues with the Padres and the Rangers. And sometimes timing, things breaks, can not go your way. I looked for other options. I got an option to play internationally, went over to Italy, of all places, and I stayed there and played there for 4 years. So I had 9 years total, and I was very shocked when I got to Italy how great the baseball was. Had a great time. 2 players on each team can be American. So I was fortunate enough because back in the States, halfway through my 5 years, I was converted to a pitcher. I played shortstop my whole life. So going to Italy, I was like 2 players in one.
You were Shohei Ohtani of Italy. You were.
Oh yeah, I was way before Ohtani.
You were Shohei Rigatoni. That's what you were.
You know, JM, we had you know who played in Italy had a real successful. The heck was his name? Went to BC. The Langoni kid.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Hey, Kenny, so, I mean, you came up with the Padres in 1983. It was it was tough to make that. They were a good club. They went to the World Series, right, in 84, played against the Tigers.
Absolutely.
They had some great players on that team.
Yeah, after 83 playing in rookie ball, I went to my first spring training, and I showed up. They sent me to spring training early to get some extra work in. And I showed up. I'm a 19-year-old kid, and I'm looking at Garvey, Nettles,
Tony
Gossage,
Gwynn, right?
Tony Gwynn. And I'm thinking, wow, this is incredible. But just being a young man, there's 150, 200 guys in spring training that are just as good as you are.
Yeah.
And I quickly realized that, you know, this is no longer a game. This is a business. And you feel pressures that you've never felt before. You got to deal with all of that and kind of slow the game down in your mind. Try to let the game come to you and not go get it. Those are things you work on and have to go through schedules and seasons to actually get through all of that and get to certain levels before you're going to get a chance at the big time.
Hey, Kenny, you're a big-time collector. I was astounded the other night when we were chatting. Tell us a little bit about your collection. I think Scott would like to hear this one.
Well, I've been collecting for over 50 years. And 1968, I was 3 years old, and my dad gave me a pack of cards, and I opened up the Johnny Bench rookie. I'll never forget it.
Oh, nice.
And I was hooked. I was hooked at 3 years old, and I've never stopped. But I've actually, listening to your show, getting a lot of advice over the years, I've diversified.
And good advice, by the way. Very good advice.
Absolutely, the best. So I try to have a little bit of everything, but I take pride in going back a ways in my vintage. And I have some like old Judge cards. I try to go after like old high grade cards instead of going after stars that most people do. Like I don't want to get a Ty Cobb and a 1.
Right.
So I go after an 8 or a 9. And I don't know if this is something that is shown or can be seen on screen. I don't know if it's coming up or not.
Let's see. No, it doesn't. Keep it in front of your body. Yeah, put it closer to your chest. There you go.
It's an 1887 old Judge.
Oh, wow.
In a 92, which is like an 8+.
Yeah, that's a great card. Look, see, Scott's got a smile on his face.
Oh, yeah.
And then I collect the T206s. I go after a lot of the Sporting Life M116s and 8s and 9s.
So how many cards do you have how many in your collection?
Well, my collection has gone down because I've sold all of my loose cards. and I go after gem mint 10s from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. That's another part of my collection. I just surpassed 700 gem mint 10s.
Wow. Very cool. Very cool.
That's awesome.
We have about a minute left, Ken. Tell us about the Sacramento Hall of Fame. Are you on the committee there? Did you start it?
Yeah, thanks for asking. It was an honor to be asked last year to be on the selection and voting committee for the Sacramento Hall of Fame. And like we were talking before, the tradition of baseball here in the Sacramento and Northern California area goes back over 100 years. And it's a real hotbed, even as of today, because, let's face it, you can play and work out 11 and a half months out of the year out here.
So
hey, Zap.
Collection?
Hold on. I'm sorry, Scotty.
I said, do you have an OBAC collection? You want to go back to 100 years in Sacramento? That would be what you would get.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I didn't realize that, Scott.
Can I get one more quick one in for Kenny? Zap, before we...
Yep.
I just want to get your opinion as a baseball guy, someone who's obviously connected with that area out there. I don't know fan-wise if you're a Giants fan, A's fan, but your thoughts on the A's and what's going to end up happening with that. I love that. I've loved that franchise since I started watching baseball with the Reggie Jackson, Sal Bando, Joe Rudy teams. I've loved the uniforms, loved the different incarnations, Billy Martin, the McGuire, Canseco guys. They've always been my second favorite team. What are your thoughts on what's going to happen out there?
Well, I came up with Canseco and McGuire in that whole steroid era.
That's right.
And it was, in the early 80s, and I was right in the middle of it, including some teammates that I later found out I had no idea. But anyways, the A's, I'm a big Giants fan.
Okay.
But I've hung around Raleigh Fingers a lot, and I get a lot of input from him. My brother lives in Henderson, which is right outside of Vegas. Get a lot of information. If they go to Vegas, they're going to sell out every game.
No doubt.
I watched a few games. Yeah, I watched a few games last year in Oakland, and they announced 2,500 fans, and there was probably 100 fans there.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
So it's sad. It's sad for the area. If they could get a stadium, I think they would support it. They would do very well.
Yep.
The field itself is fantastic, with the facility breaking down. Fans don't like it. The players don't like the clubhouse and the bathrooms, etc.
Yeah. It's too bad. It's too bad.
It is.
Kenny, can't thank you enough. Number one, again, thank you so much for the effort for the fundraiser this week. And by the way, folks, I know this is a live auction that we're having, so obviously you can't come unless you want to get on a plane. But you can certainly make a donation to just the link right on the show here. If you could even donate $20, right. This is for kids that are really, really hurting, kids that are in hospice, kids that are in hospitals, kids that are homeless, and 93 cents of every buck goes right to the kids. So it's Little Smiles down here in Southern Florida, a great organization. We looked long and hard, Rico and I, about partnering with someone, and we said, this is the organization. Every 3 or 4 years, we do something. Several years ago was the Jimmy Fund up in Boston. This year, it's Little Smiles. So if you can make a donation, we would greatly appreciate it. Kenny, again, thanks a lot, and we'll see you down the road.
Thanks a lot for having me, guys. Good luck this weekend.
Good to talk to you, Ken.
All right, John.
Clawson.
Thank you.
Good guy, man. Good
Hi,
guy.
this is Rico Petrocelli. Right now, thousands of children are facing the most difficult times in their...
No.
That's right. Oh, but that was
We'll
good,
do that
though.
later.
No, but that was nice. That was nice. It kind of tied in.
I thought Rico was walking into your house with music behind him. He's going to bomb the show here.
You know what Rico's doing right now?
Oh, boy.
You know what he's doing right now? It's, 10:30? Every morning at this time, he's out on his little dock smoking a cigar.
There you go.
Reading Fox News. Fox News. That's what he does. All right, let's bring in Scotty. Scotty's been with us. Scott, you first of all, you're on a mission that we're going to talk about in a little while about your travels. The Scott Russel Caravan, we're calling it. But you made a good point. We don't have you on often as a guest host. And you've been around a long time. You have a great, great following. Can you tell John and I a little bit about your background?
Oh, yeah. I started, I can literally go back to my first pack. My brother was in the hospital for tonsillitis, and I bought him an 81 rack pack. And that's how we got started. And my brother is my, key partner in the business today. So we're both still at it. But we actually started doing shows when we were in our mid-teens in the Pocono area, doing the mall and hotel circuit, which was the big thing at that era. And we were lucky. We liked old stuff. So we would buy the new stuff, buy the case, break it all down, sell it, and then put that money into old stuff. So when the crash in the early 90s came, we were actually set up pretty well to get through it because we still had, we weren't holding on to the junk wax. We were flipping it into old stuff. So yeah, I've been doing shows since about 1986. And then I attended live auctions all over the place. And about 6 or 7 years ago now, I was making noise about leaving my company and doing cards full time. And the owner of one of the auctions that I was a customer at heard, and he was in his early 70s at that point, and said, "Well, would you like to buy the company?" And
really? I was not aware of that.
So,
Yep.
Scotty, let me ask you a question, because we talk a lot on this show about young collectors, young/new collectors. Let's focus on young collectors and how they tend to focus on what's in the news today. Okay, the players of today, the modern day players, and we always ask the question: do you think that their interest will get them to look back to past ball players of vintage? That obviously happened to you. You were talking about early 80s, but then you guys how did you take your interest that was sort of current and then get interested in vintage ball players?
John, hold on. That is a very good question.
Thank you, Zap.
I hope I had at least a mediocre answer.
Really, I hope the answer is just as good.
I look at my contemporaries when I started as a kid and how few of them are still involved today. And the ones who are still involved made that progression. And I think you'll see it today. And it'll only be a fraction. It'll only be a percentage of the guys who start today who are buying the new packs and the blasters and all that stuff, who then go, well, but what else is there? And then they go, and that's when you start to progress older and older and older. And I think if 10% of the modern collector makes that journey to the old stuff will be fine.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot less of it. And, the people who collect it are very passionate about it. And so, I think you'll see, you have millions of people coming into the hobby now. And if out of those millions, thousands get into the old stuff, it'll just keep it going the way it has.
All right, I got a question, Jen. John, I'm going to ask you to chime in on this one because you usually ask me my opinion.
Yep.
What do you mean by old stuff, you guys, now? Because old stuff to me is pre-war, Kavlies, T206s, old Judges, play ball, right? But old stuff to my son, who's a collector, is Larry Bird, is Tony Gwynn.
Yeah.
That's old stuff to them.
What I mean is what we've talked about on the show, where I'm talking vintage. I'm talking what you're talking about.
But that is, Scott, is that stuff considered vintage now, number one? And number two, is that stuff is that something that people maybe should focus on? I mean, that generation is focused on that. John, I mean, you're older than that, but the 40-something, 30-somethings, that's what they're buying. Am I wrong, Scott?
No, you're not. And I mean, it's funny. We see it on the consignment end too. People tell me, I've got old cards. And go, okay, great. What do you have? Send me a list. Send me some pictures. And then they send me a bunch of pictures of stuff from the 80s.
Right. That's right. Exactly.
Well, I understand those are 40 years old now.
And how old did that make you feel, Scott?
Yeah. Back in my day.
But, I
think what you're saying, like the generation who thinks of the Larry Bird card is old now.
Yeah.
But they'll get that Larry Bird card, and then they'll keep progressing backwards.
Right.
That's good. If they can do that,
if they have interest in what's old to them now, what's older than that will continue to intrigue them.
Yeah, something that's very. I mean, to my grandson Johnny, Mike Trout is old.
Yeah,
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, you're right. It's all relative. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah,
no doubt.
And if they have any interest in what came before the immediate settlement, what came before contemporary, it will just keep going back.
All right, listen, we are chatting with Scott Russel. By the way, a little later on in the show, towards the end, Jared Kavlie from Pristine Auctions is going to join us. That's a good example. You cater to one clientele. Someone like Pristine caters to another clientele. Someone like Heritage caters to another clientele. That's what's so beautiful about this. We're going to take a quick break. We come back, another Gax moment. Hang in there. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Rico Petrocelli. Right now, thousands of children are facing the most difficult times in their lives with serious illness, homelessness, and other tragedies. I hope that you can join us on March 2nd at the County Line Restaurant in Juno Beach, Florida, for a live auction and some great baseball talk. If you can't join us, please consider a donation to littlesmilesfl.org. That's littlesmilesfl.org to help these kids. And when you donate, please mention the Great American Collectibles Show. We hope you'll help.
Since 1996, Brian Drent and the staff at Denver's Mile High Card Company have led the charge in the collectibles hobby. Mile High is a full-service dealer specializing in buying and selling cards and offers a competitive consignment program for all collectors. Whether it be their computerized want list service, appraisals, or auction services, Mile High has it all. If you've been searching for a company with a selection of high-grade vintage 1888 to 1970 baseball cards and memorabilia that shares your passion, aim high, mile high. Go to milehighcardco.com or call 303-840-2784 for more information.
This is Brian Drent, president of Mile High Card Company. Is your sports card and memorabilia collection properly insured? For easily replaced personal property, homeowners insurance is all most people need. But for prized possessions that you may have spent a lifetime collecting, it doesn't go nearly far enough. Collectables Insurance Services has been insuring for over 50 years. They offer a full range of protection and a $0 deductible at an affordable rate with no appraisals required. I know because they insure my collection. If you have a minute, go to collectinsure.com and learn more about insuring your personal card or memorabilia collection.
Are you a collector looking for that rare trading card or autograph ball or photo? If so, then PB Collectibles in Newport is the place for you. PB Collectibles has graded cards, raw cards, complete sets, and wax boxes of the stars of the future, today, and from the past. We also offer a large selection of both vintage and modern cards. So whether you're looking to add to your collection or sell it, visit us at PB Collectibles, 269 Spring Street in Newport, located across from St. Mary's Church. We are your neighborhood card shop and much more.
Hi, this is Dan from Memory Lane Auctions, here to remind you that the renowned Memory Lane Collectibles Company has served as a beacon of light to the collecting community for the past several decades. Indeed, folks, it has been our utmost privilege and pleasure to provide the most enthusiastic collectors with an abundance of the finest sports cards and memorabilia for America's most coveted sports personalities via our world-class auctions. Whether you choose either a private sale transaction or the auction route, Memory Lane cordially invites you to reach out to us to maximize the value of your prized possessions. Also, it is not just sales that we pride ourselves on being the best of the rest, because if you are seeking a particular keepsake for your esteemed gathering, we will be relentless in our quest to find that special piece to fulfill your collecting dreams. So no time to wait. Reach out to us today for the purposes of capitalizing on our unparalleled marketing capabilities. Simply pick up the phone and dial 877-606-5263. That's 877-606-LANE, or find us on the World Wide Web at www.memorylaneinc.com. Now is the time for your valued consignment to ultimately become another one of Memory Lane's record-setting prices.
How would you like to own the bat that was used by your favorite player when he hit that towering home run or game-winning base hit? Well, look no further than JT Sports, specializing in the sale and authentication of professional game-used bats. As the official authenticators of professional model game-used bats for PSA DNA, JT Sports will guarantee the authenticity of any bat purchased from them. JT Sports also buys and sells game-worn uniforms, gloves, and baseball equipment. The unique quality of the collectible is what JT Sports is all about. Give them a call at 609-487-8003 or check them out at GameUseBats.com.
Okay, we are back. Hey, JM, by the way, East Coast Sports Marketing and Hunt Auctions are pleased to present the Philadelphia Sports Collectors Show, The Philly Show, from Friday, March 8th to Sunday, March 10th, held at the Greater Philadelphia Expo Center Hall in Oaks, Pennsylvania. Shop over 250 of your favorite hobby dealer booths on over 100,000 square feet of sports collectibles heaven from the 1800s to the present day. JM, remember we were there?
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, we had fun.
Loved it at that casino. Yeah.
I know. I lost my shirt. Major sports auction houses and third-party grading and authentication companies are on hand to assist your collecting needs. The Philly Show is family-friendly, and all kids 10 and under get in for free. Autographed guests include the Philadelphia Eagles Championship Reunion Show, Super Bowl 52 MVP pick Nick Foles, Super Bowl champ head coach Doug Peterson, Brandon Graham, Jason Peters, Trey Burton, as well as Baseball Hall of Famers Frank Thomas, Robin Yount, and many, many
You know what I remember most about that is I won money at the casino and still let you buy dinner that night.
Trust me, that's back here, baby. It's back here. For more information, go to thephillyshow.com. Remember, since 1975, The Philly Show is where it all started.
You know who else is at the Philly Show?
Who?
Yours truly.
Yeah, he was there. He was there.
So come say hi.
Okay, welcome to another GAX moment brought to you by our good friend Paul Borges and the great staff at PB Collectables, your neighborhood card shop. Go to pbcollectables.com to find that special card or piece of memorabilia. Rico and I were fishing last week, smoking a few cigars and having a few laughs. I asked him on the fishing dock, and this is truth, I said, who was the craziest, funniest teammate you ever played with? The words were not out of my mouth, and he immediately said, Bill Lee. Rico and Bill played together for 7 years. An all-star in 1973, Lee, affectionately known as the Spaceman, was a damn good pitcher, compiling a 119-90 record with a 3.62 career earned run average. And he also won 17 games 3 years in a row, and later on 16 games with the Montreal Expos. In 2008, like Rico, Bill was inducted into the Red Sox Hall of Fame. His antics, to say the least, are historic. Here's a few tidbits. He developed the Leafus pitch, similar to the Ephus pitch, except in the 75 World Series, he threw the Leafus pitch to Tony Perez, and that ball still has not landed. He was involved in the famous Yankee brawl in 1976, tearing ligaments in his shoulders, but the brawl endeared him to fans. He had an ongoing feud with manager Don Zimmer, always referring to him as the gerbil. He farmed the Buffalo Heads, along with teammates Fergie Jenkins, Rick Wise, Jim Willoughby, and Bernie Cabo in response to Zimmer's conservative views. A little weed now and then never hurt anybody, according to Lee. Lee spoke in defense of Greenpeace, ran for president as a member of the Rhinoceros Party. And his motto, no guns, no butter, both can kill. When asked about his views on mandatory drug testing, he said, in the 60s, it was mandatory that I try everything. Most of the managers are lifetime 220 hitters, he said. For years, pitchers have been getting these managers out 75% of the time, and that's why they don't like us. Worn onto the field at different times, Mr. Lee, a Daniel Boone cap, and a beanie with a propeller. Announced that baseball represents nothing more than some Haitian slaves' 8-hour day, and that a ball player's springtime ritual consists of unlimbering the body and snorting the new glove. He showed up while rumors of his imminent release from the Red Sox, dressed in a black outfit that he described as Mexican funeral wear. Nobody looks at me, he complained. They walk by me like I've been bitten by a rat from Calcutta, and the disease will spread. He claims that he got high with George W. Bush in the 70s. Still playing today, by the way, at 77 years old. He's playing locally again with, I believe, the Savannah Bananas and some local semi-pro teams that he just shows up with. played in Cuba for many years, and he still barnstorms at the age of 77. He had some health issues last year. He's recovered from them, and he is still going strong. There's something to be said about the spaceman, and that's another Gax moment.
Zap, he was one of the most amazing guys I ever had a chance to interview. I worked with him. He was on a show, did a show called Forever Baseball. I did it for the better part of 6-7 years. For a couple of those years, he did a segment on the show called Space on Base, where they would just point to him and let him go off on some subject. And remember his great quote, I think it was before Game 7 of the 75 series. He was pitching against Gullett for the Reds. And Sparky Anderson, before the game, said, after the game tonight, my boy's going to the Hall of Fame, meaning Gullett. And Lee said, they asked Lee about it, he said, after the game tonight, I'm going to the Elliott Lounge, which was a bar near Fenway Park.
Right down the street.
Unbelievable guy.
Oh, yeah, he was. By the way, Don Gullett just passed away last week.
I saw that. Yeah.
All right, let's get back to Scotty. Scott, first of all, I want to talk about your auction. You've got an auction going on right now that ends when?
Ends on a week from Sunday, or no, this Sunday coming. I'm going to be brutally honest here. I went online and I saw some of the things that you're offering. Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if people are not aware of some of the things that you have in this auction, but you've got complete sets, 67 tops complete set, a 70s top complete set, a 77 tops complete football set, a 78 tops complete basketball set, and 210 1956 tops cards. All ungraded, but most of them are complete sets. People, are you kidding me? There are some... No, I'm serious. Those are great things to invest in. Am I wrong?
No. And I mean, and this set is particularly loaded with those kind of starter and partial sets that are like over half the set. So it is, I mean, if you have ever wanted to build a set, we have a lot of great, there's a 53 partial, there's a 55, there's a 56, so there's a lot of really neat partials. If you wanted to start a set, there's some really great options. And whenever you buy, kind of in bulk like that, you definitely get a bit of a discount over putting it all together yourself.
Scott, were these sets from one consignor or client,
no,
different places? What are the sources for these?
About 4 or 5 different consigners. We have, I think partly because of the reputation, we've developed for grading raw fairly, and then, breaking the sets down into kind of intelligent pieces. We try and make the sets homogeneous by grade. Nobody wants to buy a partial set that ranges from good to near mint.
Right.
The near mint guys don't want the low stuff, and the good guys don't want to pay for the better stuff. So if you send me 856 commons, we'll break them into 3 lots by, grade range. And so I think that appeals to a lot of our consigners. So we're getting more and more of that kind of stuff.
That's a smart move, actually, on your part. That's a very smart move. That's a wise thing to do. That's
more labor, but that's why we figure it's, worth it.
What about the Philly cards, though? You have a lot of Philadelphia Phillies cards.
Well, it's a little sad, actually. Carl Freisinger, who I told you I bought an auction that I used to go to, Carl and I used to compete against each other at the auction. And Carl was diagnosed terminal last spring, about a year ago.
Oh.
And, we sat down, him and his wife and I, and kind of figured everything out, because Carl had, if not the greatest Philadelphia collection in history, it has to be up there. And he did pass in November. And so now we're taking care of it for him. And we're actually donating a portion of the proceeds of the sales. Anything in the auction that's labeled from the Carl Freisinger collection, a portion of that is going to the Central Pennsylvania Food Bank.
Well, again, folks, that's something awesome to pay attention to. Yeah. If you have a few extra bucks to spend, go for that. That's the stuff that I love. By the way, I know, Scott, that Al Crisafoli.
Yeah.
From Loving the Game. You know what Al's doing? Al called me up, and this auction that we're doing on Saturday, right? We have reserve prices. I'm not going to give this stuff away.
Right.
So Al called me up. He says, whatever you don't sell, ship it to me. I'm going to put it in my spring auction. We'll have a special thing, and he's going to donate the buyer's commission to Little Smiles. Yeah. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Al's a great guy.
Yeah. JM, I'm sorry.
No, that's right. That's more important. I was just going to ask Scott, because I love Scott's auctions because of the there's just some stuff you don't really see anywhere else.
Exactly.
And the other thing I like about it, a lot of people have, watch or listen to our show, and maybe they want to jump in, but I think they still get intimidated sometime with the money aspect of it. I'm not going to even say $1 million or 10,000. Some of them don't have $500 to throw away. There are so many neat items. If you're just a sports fan and a collecting fan, where the opening bid is literally $5 in this auction. And I just encourage people that want to take it to the next level and get into an auction and bid on something, go to this Collector Connection auction, this one he has, because there's so much neat stuff from cards to autographed items and things like that. I mean, that, to me, in the time I've been kind of immersed in the hobby, Scott, that's what separates you from other people. Can you just comment on that diversity and I guess you could say the inclusionary part of what you do?
Yeah. Well, and I think it's very funny. I think we see, believe it or not, a lot of the similar items to what auctions see, but we treat them differently.
Yeah.
We break down the collection to its oddball parts because we know there are people who want those oddball items.
Right.
So it looks like we have a greater variety, but it's actually we're just presenting it differently than other people present it. There's lots of that kind of. There's a lot of team issue stuff. A lot of Topps Test issues, and just oddball things that may only be a $30 or $40 or $50 item. But because it's different, we know somebody wants just that. They don't want to have to buy a collection to get it.
Is there an item that maybe the Zap hasn't already mentioned? If it's one of those sets, you can elaborate on that kind of jumps out to you as I always call it the wow item, something that you said, hey, that's pretty cool.
Not super pricey, but we have a 64 Topps coin set. And
nice.
That's a real pain in the neck to put together.
Yeah.
It's not that it's that expensive, but finding them all is the trick. And this one, the grades on the set are all over the place because some of them were actually glued into albums, so they have paper on the back. But then there's some of them that are really nice, and the stars are generally a little bit better than the commons, oddly enough.
We were talking in the first segment of the show. We were talking about the modern collectors, and this is for those kids or those investors that are kind of working their way down from modern to vintage. These are the perfect cards for you to start with. You know what I mean? You can really spend several $100 and have a really nice trove.
Actually, you can make a haul.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can.
Of vintage cards, and that's a real good starting point. I mean, I think that is so cool. Scott, let's talk about the Traveling Roadshow. You're going to be going on the road. Why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, I mean, we do these periodically, and it usually a call comes from somewhere in the country with a big collection that I can't pass up. So I then plan to go to that, but then I don't want to just go for one thing. I want to make a trip worthwhile. Well, we got a call from a collector in LA, and it's a pretty amazing collection. A near T206 set, a complete 33 Gaudi set, every top set from 53 on up, and then singles out the, wazoo. As a matter of fact, I have a little bit of his stuff already, some of his pre-war stuff already. And so then I build the trip around it. So then I have a regular consignor who's up in Seattle, and I thought, well, okay, I'll start there and actually meet him instead of having him ship stuff. And then, so now the trip right now, as it stands, is Seattle, Portland, Oregon, Boise, Idaho, LA, Albuquerque, Dallas, Oklahoma City, Kansas City.
You gotta be kidding me.
No. So I fly to Seattle, then cut my way down south to LA, then over to Dallas and up to Chicago.
All right, but I've got a question.
This is like the Scotty Russell Eras Tour. You're like the Taylor Swift of the hobby right now.
But hold on, Scott. I mean,
I don't get paid what she gets paid.
Are you driving, for instance, into Albuquerque, like just?
I fly to Seattle, grab a truck, and drive the rest.
No, but my point is, when you get to Albuquerque, do you have something set up, or are you just going to put it?
There's a setup. There's something at each of those stops.
All right, so you're not going to put an ad in the paper and say, "Hey, guess what, guys? I'm here."
Well, I mean, we have an ad coming up in Beckett, and we posted it on our website. So if people want to, we can add them to that trip.
Oh, good.
And don't.
But we're not setting up a hotel going to show up that day.
Scott, don't forget to take that left turn at Albuquerque.
Are you doing this alone? Are you having someone?
Nope, I do this solo because the other people I have to be back at the office getting the auctions done. So,
geez, I tell you what, Jay, I'd like to send you on some kind of a road trip.
Why don't you do that? I'll go.
Yeah,
send me out.
Oh, meet me in Seattle on the 18th.
Seattle's a great, listen, most of those cities you've mentioned I've been to. Portland is a great town. I don't know how long you're going to be there. I don't know if it's still there. We could look it up online, but there's a great, not too long, there's a place called McMenamins, all right? Okay. And it's a converted old estate, like a sprawling estate with all these little houses that for the workers, whatever, and it's a bar. And
what else is new?
Every little servant place is has its own bar in it. You can walk around the grounds and drink. Yeah, I hope it's still there. I haven't been there in a while, but it's called McMenamins. Check it out.
Yeah, we're doing 6,000 miles in 13 days. So
unbelievable. Oh my God. That's great.
And JM has never passed a bar that he did not like.
I could never be a lawyer because I couldn't pass a bar.
Terrible. Hey, Scott, let's talk about forecast for 2024. What does 2024 look like you going on the rest of the year?
For us, it's really some amazing stuff has come in. I mean, like I said, it's sad because he was a friend, but the Carl Freisinger collection kind of got us off to a big start. And then the pickups on this trip. But we've gotten just a lot of calls kind of referred from other consigners, which is always gratifying because it shows that people are happy with what you're doing for them. So yeah, we have some big stuff lined up. I mean, I've got a pile of Cracker Jacks and gold coins sitting here. And
good stuff, man.
Yeah.
All right. So can you, I always kind of try to put some of our guests on the spot a little bit. So can you, a couple of sleeper cards, in your opinion, for 2024 this year? I mean, forget about Mantle, forget about Ruth, forget about Wagner. Just some sleeper cards. Anything in particular that's...
I think if you're a big baseball fan, you can appreciate the advice I'll give. When a surprise makes the Hall of Fame, like a Jim Cott, you see a jump instantly. I mean, you could have picked up that 1960 Jim Cott rookie in nice condition for $10. And, for just a biscuit over a common. And now that's easily a $100 card. So my advice would be, look at your 64 Tommy John rookie. Look at your 71 Bobby Grich rookie. And that has the added, or the Concepcion, they have the added advantage to being that horrible black border. Look at your borderline guys who the Veterans Committee might surprise you and stick in there.
Scott, listen, Deb, if I can jump, that's a great point, how these, and a lot of people are mad at it because there's been a lot of what we'll call borderline inductions into the Hall of Fame. And I never really thought about that, how that can affect the hobby in a positive way, right?
Absolutely.
For the value of their cards.
You're so right. I own 200 Louis Tiant cards.
Yeah,
that's a great. I have a ton of them too. Right. All these guys we think should be in.
I'm exaggerating, but I have a lot of Louis cards. Louis is a great guy. He should be in. So I have them put aside. But you never know.
Like Scott said, the Veterans Committee are starting to put in guys that maybe the writers weren't going to vote in, but the Veterans Committee does because maybe they played with them, they saw them, so.
And some of them, especially by the modern, sabermetric measures, actually belong in.
Correct.
Yeah.
Bobby Grich and Lou Whitaker are better than most of the second basemen in the Hall if you look at the modern
absolutely. Stats. All right, listen, we're going to take a quick break. I think Jared Kavlie from Pristine is going to be joining us. Scott's with us for the rest of the hour. Hang in there. We shall return.
Pristine Auction is a family-owned and operated online auction specializing in autographed memorabilia, sports cards, coins, art, and collectibles. Since their founding in 2010, they've grown to 2 facilities in Phoenix, Arizona, totaling over 60,000 square feet. Jared Kavlie and an incredible staff of over 150 team members serve a very large customer base and enjoy every minute of it. By working with leading authentication companies, Pristine ensures all items are 100% authentic. In addition, third-party authenticators regularly travel to Pristine Auction to provide authentication services on site. Pristine Auction strives to operate its business in a way that's honoring to God, their families, and their customers. With a strong focus on speed, quality, and premier customer service, their mission is to be the leading online auction for every level of collector and fan. Pristine also works for Hope Sports and Identity Hoops International, traveling to Mexico to build houses for the less fortunate. Pristine Auction offers several online auction formats with thousands of auctions ending each day. For more information, go to pristineauction.com. That's Pristine Auction, the best in the business. you're a discerning collector interested in owning the most important pieces in the hobby, look no further than Leland's Auctions. The original sports auction and appraisal house, Leland's was established in 1985 by legendary Pioneer founder Joshua Leland Evans. And today, President Mike Hefner carries on their tradition. From the Tom Brady card and memorabilia collection to the famed Boston Garden auction to high-end card auctions from every major sport, Leland's has always maintained the highest standards. Go to Lelands.com and get your bid in. That's Leland's, the hobby's leading sports auction house for 4 decades.
It's often been said that championships are won on the practice field, and world records come only to those willing to work harder than everybody else. Heritage Auctions is the world's largest collectibles auctioneer because we believe that becoming the best is only an invitation to the challenge of remaining the best. This requires the skills of the hobby's top experts, capable of identifying and maximizing value for our consigners. It requires the most visited website in the industry, courting a global audience of collectors over 1.5 million strong. It requires a dedicated press department that expands our global reach far beyond the entrenched hobby marketplace. It's hard work, but a simple premise. Present the finest collectibles to the largest population of potential buyers, and world records will come. We invite all listeners to put the unmatched power of Heritage Auctions to work for you. Auction evaluations are always free, and our commission-based fee structure ensures that our interests are always aligned. The highest possible price for your collectibles. There will always be new world records to chase, so let's chase them together. Visit our website at ha.com and request your no-obligation review today.
Hi, this is Dan from Memory Lane Auctions, here to remind you that the renowned Memory Lane Collectibles Company has served as a beacon of light to the collecting community for the past several decades. Indeed, folks, it has been our utmost privilege and pleasure to provide the most enthusiastic collectors with an abundance of the finest sports cards and memorabilia for America's most coveted sports personalities via our world-class auctions. Whether you choose either a private sale transaction or the auction route, Memory Lane cordially invites you to reach out to us to maximize the value of your prized possessions. Also, it is not just sales that we pride ourselves on being the best of the rest, because if you are seeking a particular keepsake for your esteemed gathering, we will be relentless in our quest to find that special piece to fulfill your collecting dreams. So no time to wait. Reach out to us today for the purposes of capitalizing on our unparalleled marketing capabilities. Simply pick up the phone and dial 877-606-5263. That's 877-606-LANE, or find us on the World Wide Web at www.memorylaneinc.com. Now is the time for your valued consignment to ultimately become another one of Memory Lane's record-setting prices.
Hey, I'm Mike Petroselli. If your company is looking for the best in marketing and promotional items, you'll hit a home run with Petroselli Marketing. With over 8,000 suppliers and 650,000 imprint-ready items, we can get your company the visibility it needs to get your maximum exposure. Whether it be office promotions, wearables, automotive, sports items, and everything in between, Petroselli Marketing can do it all. Our design staff will even work with you from concept to delivery and customize your products. At Petroselli Marketing Group, we will get your brand in front of your audience. Contact us at info@petrosellimkt.com or call us at 603-880-3202. That's Petroselli Marketing, where no dream is impossible.
So, Zap, how does your company or organization do promotions? Imprinted
Pretty
products.
well, thank you.
You're a self-promoter. We know that.
Yeah, no, what I do is I try to shake down Petroselli for pens. For swag, I get nothing. You know what he gave me, though? They did give me a Petroselli baseball cap.
I think what your key to self-promotion is that you surround yourself with very talented people. Imprinted products keeps your brand in front of your customers more than any form of advertising. For the best on-time service and new ideas for your next project, give Petroselli Marketing Group a call at 603-880-3202 or email info at PetrocelliMKT.com.
You know, it's interesting how things in life work.
Jeez.
Now, earlier, no, this is mystic.
This is deep,
earlier,
man. This is deep.
Earlier, Scott mentioned that part of the auction, this auction that he's doing, part of the proceeds are going to the food bank in South Pennsylvania. Number one. Number two, we're doing a fundraiser for Little Smiles this week for kids that are either terminal or really sick. And that's why I wanted to bring Jared in from Pristine Auctions, because the stuff he does is amazing. But during the commercial break, I got a text from a big follower of the show who's been with us for many years. And Derek Grady is not going to be happy because they just outbid him on the Rico Petrocelli game used bat. Bidding is up to $3,200.
Nice.
And they are sending bids in to me. They're going to text me bids on 6 other items.
Very nice.
Because they're very familiar with Little Smiles. So that's what it's all about. And thank you. All right, let's bring in Jared. Jared, let me tell you something. You don't even realize this, but you kind of lit the fire under our asses a while back. Do you remember about 4 or 5 years ago when Rico and I did the fundraiser for the Jimmy Fund in Boston? Do you remember that?
I believe so. Yes, sir.
Yeah, because you donated. You sent a whole bunch of cool stuff, like crazy stuff, like the face mask from that horror flick. I can't remember what the name of it was, but you sent some really cool stuff. But you were kind of the catalyst that kind of got us going way back then, and because you guys have done some great stuff. Tell us about. Listen, we're going to talk about the auction. We have you on for at least 8 or 9 minutes. Tell us about some of the stuff that you guys do.
Yeah, anytime we can find an opportunity to give back a little bit, we'd love to do that. So one of the biggest organizations we work with that we have for many years is an organization called Hope Sports. That's an organization in Mexico, right across the border in San Diego and Tijuana. We take a team there every year or two and build a home for a family in need. The poverty there is something that I've never seen before, never experienced before. And what always strikes me as amazing is just how grateful, thankful, and happy those families are, even with so little from our eyes. So it's always extremely impactful. This last time we were able to bring our kids with us, which is awesome.
Very cool.
So it was impactful for them. It's always a great team experience and very meaningful. So that's an organization. What I love about the organization too is there's a sports element to it. They often bring in teams, Olympic teams, college sports teams. Those teams come in as a team building event and also give back by, using the muscle and building some homes. So it's a fantastic organization. So we support them. And then Guy East, who heads up that organization, we support him also just generally as a missionary. So he's always doing other work as well. That's just the main organization that he heads up. So that's one of the key ones we do. Throughout the year, we always do we always give to auctions. We get asked often,
Sure.
which is great. We always have inventory that we can give and love to do that. So that's an example. And then also we have a lot of relationships in NASCAR. And with that, a lot of those guys have their own charitable organizations. So we often donate to their annual auctions. And then also Dale Jr. this year, every year he does what's called Drive to Give glove auction. And that's historically been done on other platforms, but they chose to work with us this year. And together we broke records, which was pretty incredible. It was a pretty fun experience. That inspired us to do some similar ones. So we haven't announced them yet, but we have a couple things throughout the year with some drivers we work with. We're going to do similar events where it's going to be very similar to the glove auction with a little bit of a twist. So you'll have to stay tuned for that.
Well, something, one of the items that you donated to this, and it's going to be in the silent auction, is a really cool racing car, steel racing car signed by Richard Petty, stuff like that. That's a cool piece. Very cool piece, So anyways, Thank you. That's all I can say is thank you. And same thing with you. I know Kenny's still watching, and Scott. That's what it's all about, giving back a little bit. And the other thing we're talking about, and JM, jump in here, brother.
Sure.
The auctions are different. Your auction is completely different than the auction that Scott runs. You have a daily auction, you have an elite auction, you have a coin auction, you have a classic auction, fine arts. You have a 10-minute auction. Are you still doing that?
Absolutely. Yeah. In fact, we have a pretty fun promotion today where the whole 10-minute auction was overtaken by a brand new mystery box release. So I know mystery boxes aren't for everybody, but a lot of our customers love them. And so that company is releasing it through our 10-minute auction and also giving everybody a $20 credit. So if you want to go participate, it's a great time to do that. Today is a Pokemon mystery box. But yeah, in general, that's 10-minute auction is always rolling on our site.
Scott, you can appreciate this. And JM, I know you know this. The first time and you've been with us, I mean, you really have been with us since day one, but we really never, we always tried to get a feel for how big Pristine Auctions was. So initially, John, myself, and Rico, we said, it's going to be like an 8-man operation. There's Jared, his wife, I'm sure, a couple of brothers, sisters. Tell Scott, how many employees do you have?
I wish we could get it all done with that few, but no, we've got a great team. We got about 100 of us here.
Wow.
And plugging away pretty constantly just to produce the volume that our team does. So
it's just amazing.
It's amazing team around me.
But you've always, and JM, do you agree with me in this? Yeah. He's always kind of stayed under the radar with the size of his operation.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, absolutely. I think even his approach when he's on the show with us, very understated. Right. Very professional. But it takes a lot to do what they do. Kind of.
They're doing. I could have predicted that their employee number would have been pretty good.
Yeah, I'm sure people on the inside, Scott, you're right, know it. You know what I mean? From the range of what they have there. Hey, Jared, you have some really unbelievable, I would say neat. Neat doesn't do it justice. You have some great stuff in your auction. I know
we got about 3 minutes.
You got a couple of football, you have some Patrick Mahomes stuff, and you also have some University of Michigan football stuff, right?
Yeah. That's we have some of our big consigners did some signings with some of the Michigan guys right before. Now that they're legally allowed to, we can actually talk about it at least.
Yeah,
these
right.
days.
Yeah.
But yeah, those definitely happened right before that championship game, and then of course the iron's hot now, so those are really nice items.
Very cool, man. How's the weather in Arizona?
I can't complain. I have a sweatshirt on because below 90, we're bundling up here. But I think it's probably actually 70, 75.
Scott's in Pennsylvania. John is in New Hampshire, right over the Mass border. Right. I'm in Florida, and you're in Arizona.
Yeah, so Scott, which means Scott and I despise both of you. So yeah.
And Kenny's watching. Kenny's up in Sacramento. So we're all over the. I tell you what, man, the benefits of technology, really. So anyway. All right, so you have an auction coming. Well, actually, you don't have an auction, Jared. You have a million auctions coming up. Fine art, that's the other thing. You get into stuff that a lot of other people don't get into. Coins, fine art. I've seen some of the musical stuff, the instruments you've had on some of your past auctions. Really, really, really cool. Scott, you get into some non-sport stuff too periodically, right?
Yeah, we do twice a year. We do a non-sport and comic book auction.
Good.
So non-sport cards all the way back to the 19th century, and then comic books.
All right, we're just about out of time. Scott Russell, your auction ends when?
Sunday. What's the date? The third? Yeah, Sunday the 3rd.
Folks, I'm telling you, bid.
Yes.
Because I'm telling you, that's an auction. You're going to get some great buys. Jared, I know I don't have to say when your auctions end because they never end.
Always.
So thanks for coming on. And all kidding aside, Jared, thanks for the work that you do outside on the periphery of the auction houses. And again, special thanks to Kenny Clawson for the fundraiser that he did. Folks, just go online, Little Smiles, southernflorida.com. It's on the screen here. I don't care if you donate $5. $5. And by the way, real quickly, we decided if people want to have their picture taken with Rico while we're mingling with your little iPhone, $5. We're going to charge people $5 as long as they make a donation right in the till to Little Smiles. With that being said, JM, have a great week.
It's only 50 cents to have your picture taken with Zap.
We're going to miss you down here this weekend, John. And to our viewers and listeners and to our guests, we love you guys all. Thanks, and have a great week, and happy collecting.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.